My name is Angelica Mitchell, but also known as Angie by my close friends. I'm at Jefferson Intermediate School, where I get to work with 6th grade and sometimes 5th grade. And this is, I can't keep count now, might be my 23rd year in teaching. So yeah, it's been a while. So Talking Points was introduced to me by an awesome colleague. She brought it to our team in our district. We're a pretty small school district, and so she told us about this great platform. And so this must have been right before the pandemic, maybe 2018, maybe 2019. And so once we came into the pandemic, we really were familiar with Talking Points, and we were already using it across the various campuses. And so grateful for that. And even then, I think during the pandemic, right, everything leveled up. So like things with captions and the ability to add video. And so it was an awesome tool to begin to use and to have, especially during that time. I think it's good to over communicate, because sometimes it's easy as a teacher to think, oh, they already know. The teacher already put in the newsletter. They already got an email. It's already on the school's Facebook page, and it's on Class Dojo and all these different things. But what I've learned is that if I can still put something out through Talking Points, there's always a handful that respond and say, thank you so much. Oh, teacher, thank you for the reminder. So I just think it's good to always just over communicate. I think it's safer, and you'll catch the families who maybe aren't on Facebook or who are not, who don't check email. And so I think it's just appreciated. Parents do appreciate just that thoughtfulness. Yeah, I think it's become just easier. I think before it was like a whole process of like having to sit and draft something. Back in California, it was creating flyers and then having those translated and having someone edit and like all this, it just took time. And now in a snap, whether on your computer or your phone, it could just be a quick message. And again, I'm learning to be very clear and concise and brief, because if I'm honest, I don't read things thoroughly. Like if I see a long passage, a long email, I'm not going to read all of it. But if I can give a quick, like, bam, here's a message. So I just think it's easy. There's like no barrier. And because it's Talking Points that has, these various languages, it just makes it super quick. And I love that, but that's not a barrier. Being able to attach or upload other things. So if it's pictures, I love even just sharing pictures of their kiddos, because even in 6th grade, for example, parents still want to see their babies. So I love even just doing that, sending work samples, pictures of their kids, and then sometimes just other things, documents that I think might be helpful that I upload. Or even just this week, we have something during the summer, a local organization has like supplies for $5. And so I send like links to them that way. Like, hey, just a reminder, here's an opportunity, check it out. So I just love, again, sharing in a multitude of ways. And I love changing the color when I can, right to the background, or adding the emojis. It doesn't feel so sterile. It just feels friendly. Yeah, most recently, I would say, so I'm a Spanish speaker. So that's a tool that I'm so grateful for, because for some families, I can make that call and speak Spanish. But then we have friends here in St. Louis, St. Charles, Missouri, where we have families coming from all over. And recently we had a friend from Ukraine, And so immediately the barrier was the language, but to have talking points to quickly like just build the connection, to build trust, to say, hey, how are you? What do you need? Sending a picture of myself, like just making those connections immediately and not having to wait for someone or looking for someone out there who speaks the language, but that immediately I could be a resource and a tool and an advocate, because I think that's what platforms like Talking Points allow us to do, is to serve and advocate for our families, because through that, then there's a door for families to say, how does this work? When I haven't, received this information, where do I go? Where do I look? And so that at least begins those conversations. But yeah, I would say I'm just grateful for that I could help any family with anything, because Talking Points has created a way to do that. They knew immediately that was one way they could, get to me. And I just think it's comforting, because I can't imagine, we talk about our students and their affective filter, but I think families too, there's so much they're navigating. If they're new to the country, it's navigating like the systems and the culture and just so many things. And everything probably feels like a barrier. I mean, everything's just like a hurdle. So I would imagine to just have a connection where it's like, okay, finally, like I can just communicate and be understood and be heard, be seen. I think that's powerful. Perhaps they'll see that they're cared for, and that their teacher does care and that their teacher can help. Because I know as a first generation Mexican American, I had to translate everything for my parents. Like I was the one calling the phone company. I was the one going to the doctor visits. I was, that's a burden, like that's a heavy burden to carry. So I think for kids to just feel like, okay, I don't have to do that. And they can still share with their parents, they can still communicate, because that's just what we do, but that the burden doesn't fall on them. And they can just be kids. So I think that would be the biggest thing. I'm their ally, that I'm their champion. Like I want that I'm a tool, a resource. Yeah, that I'm there and that I see them and that I want to help. And I think my families would say that they feel that. So yeah, I think just that, like part of the work that I do, that I love, is that I get to advocate for our students and serve them, but also advocate and serve families who sometimes just kind of fall on the margins, and so I want to be there to kind of bridge and to pull in and to help make families feel part of the community. Like you belong here too. Just think, again, it would create another connection it would assure stronger, or it would foster those strong relationships with parents, especially as our student population continues to change. We have, more and more families, moving in, more newcomers. And so I think it would just help our school continue to foster those, strong family-teacher relationships. I think just always like what they need. Something that really kind of stuck in my head was during the pandemic. We were really there helping families more than the student. It wasn't so much academics, it was everything else. So I think just wanting to know that, because sometimes as teachers, again, we can be so removed and we focus only on the academic and and we're not always in tune, or we don't have a pulse on like home situations and home needs. So we know that for a student to thrive, right, we need to make sure that they're well as a whole. And part of knowing students well and serving them well is knowing the families, knowing their situation, knowing their circumstances.